Been waiting a while for these two packages to arrive. As you can tell, it's from Woodpeckers. This is their version of a miter saw fence setup. And all right, the stops. This one moves freely, so does that one. This one was bad. I mean, it was hard to move. I'll show you the remedy because I've got another one here that's the same problem. And I'll show you how I fix it. But what's going on is when this is pressed in, it was pressed in at a downward angle. When I say downward, I mean this direction. And you can see here, this one is not too bad, but it's enough to cause, you can see that dark spot right there, cause it to just hit one point. So it basically forms a like a little tent, I guess, going this direction with the other piece. When they're together, I'm going to exaggerate this, but when they're together, they're basically like at angles like that. So all I'm doing is I put this in my vise and I'm bending that ever so gently backwards. And this one, it didn't take much at all, and I put it back together and it slides nice and freely. So I'll tighten that one back up. But let me show you what I did here. Hang on. So putting this in my vise, I'm going to keep that just above my surface, and I protect the threads with this wall anchor. And the direction that this is going, again exaggerated, is this way. So I got to bring it back toward me. And this one isn't going to take much at all. But let's just see if we can do this quick without hurting anything. And I suppose I could call customer service and tell them I needed a new stop, but I'd prefer this method right here to getting on the horn. So I'm just going to give it a little tug this direction. Yeah, that looks much better. Nice and straight now and parallel with this. So let's put it back together and see how it slides. This one I'm going to tighten all the way up. Because that's how they arrive from the factory. Okay, let's see if we can put it in here. Much better. Much better. Take this one out. Tighten this one all the way up as well. Yeah, you can see where this one was riding before. If you look at that, you can see those dark spots right there, out here and out there. So that was two dark spots there where it was grinding against the aluminum, and one over here. But now it should slide freely. It's good. Alright, a little minor tweak. Something I'm not opposed to doing, I guess. I'll put it this way, I shouldn't have to do it, but beats waiting for one to arrive in the mail. There, that snugs it right up. So all you're doing is you're compressing that flat. You see it rise up there against the extrusion. I like that. That's a lot of contact. Now here's another feature I didn't have on my old setup, and that's to micro adjust my stop. This one's a little tight. I'll have to work on that one a little bit. This one moves nice and freely. Let me see what's going on with this one. Oh, it moves nice and freely. It moves, I mean this part moves freely. This might just need a little work to break it in. Not a deal breaker. Now it's moving. I think I might put a drop of lubricant into this brass nut here and see if that loosens it up a little. I don't want to get it too greasy, but okay. Well, it spins freely enough. Alright, I'll put it back together and play with that a little bit, but I do like the fact that I can micro adjust these. Let me slide this one back in here. So once you've set your stop and you want to go one way or the other, you've got the ability to just fine-tune that cut nice and easy. That'll be slick. Alright, another little bone to pick here. This one I've got working good now. But before, it was like it wanted to take off the first layer of your skin. Let me bring this one in. And I can move it, but it's snug. I guess this one's not too bad. But I'm still going to take it apart, and let me show you what I did to the other ones. So in here, and I believe this must be like a tapered set screw to hold pressure against this nut. Now it turns pretty freely, but if I just take that and just loosen it a little bit, this one is really deep. I'm just going to loosen it about 1/8 of a turn. Maybe a little more. You don't want to get it above this surface. Yeah, I'll put a little lube on that one as well. The other thing I did with one of them, let me show you when I get this apart here. We just gave this a little bit of a light sand on both ends to give it a little more space in there. And that is a tight fit. So I'm gonna give this one a little bit of a sand here. I've got some sandpaper on a piece of marble. Just a couple of strokes on both sides. Gonna blow out the shavings out of the threads, and then I'll put some lube in there and we'll see how it works. Alright, just threading it back together now. That spins nice. So putting a little bit of just basically 3-in-1 oil on 1 drop inside there. 1 drop inside the threads, and then threading it together again. The other thing is, when I spin them back together, I want to make sure that they're parallel in this direction as well. And this one looks like it's got a little gap here. Not too bad. Alright, let's try it again. Much easier. Alright, maybe it's just a kind of a breaking in process, but they all work good now. Well, I opened the other box and it's the same thing, and this time I'll show you right from the get-go what I'm dealing with here. You can see that that gap. It's just they're not straight. And if I put the one side down, that gap is really pronounced. So when you slide that into the extrusion, it won't slide. I'll put it that way. Even if you loosen it up a little bit. The gap is not as pronounced, I guess, but it's still there. So I'll tweak these, and this time I think all I'll do is put them in the vise this way and just pull back on this a little bit to get them in plane. And then I'll come back. I will say this about, this is the first one I opened up. This one, the nut spins really nice and freely. This one does as well. And that one spins great. And so does this one. Much better than the other ones. So I just have to deal with, I think, just this part here of kind of tweaking this angle a little bit. Well, I take that back. I decided to try one without messing with it, and it does slide freely. So I'm going to try another one. Yeah, that one's a little snugger. See, I gotta push this one where this one slides. I mean, this, you can, this one I cannot do that. So I'm going to straighten this one. This one I already straightened. See, that one slides freely. We'll try the third one here. That one works. Okay, so I did straighten one of them, this one, before I even tried it. This one's a little snug. I might tweak this one. Much happier with these stops. Much more freedom of movement. Okay, this is my current miter setup, chop saw setup. Just the one stop. It does work on both sides, but this basically gave me about 72 inches, 6 feet of cutting capacity on this side of the table, and about 2 feet on the right side. So, like I say, this is my current setup. I'm not going to change the saw. I'm going to leave that where it is. I don't want to do a complete rebuild here right now anyway. But let me bring in these other fences. This is going to be basically what I'll end up with is that much cutting capacity on this side and the same on the other. Now, my table was built, custom built basically for this Beesmeyer. So you can see that I've got some trade-offs I'm going to have to deal with here. I think this is solid enough to hold what I want it to do going this way, and definitely long enough to go that way. So I'm going to just, I wanted to kind of show you what's going on here before, and then I'm going to give you the after look after I get this all torn apart and cleaned up. All right, let's have another look. Okay, now we have something we can work with. Flush here. This is, I can't believe how nearly perfect that is. I don't think I'm going to mess with it. So I got to make some standoffs that high, whatever that is. Might be 1 7/8. 1 3/4. Okay. This can get moved back. And the beauty of this thing is, if I ever do want to tip my miter saw to 45 this way, I can slide this over and I'll have the ability to move my fence that way as well to get it out of the way. Alright, there it is. A little bit of work. As it turned out, I had to shim this side with one business card to get it level. The other side is perfect. That's good. I've got it straight with this straight edge on both sides. In the directions they talk about this being a 1/16 of an inch set back. And I did go to the directions after I messed up my cut on these tables, but as it turns out, it's going to be fine. I've got to still calibrate the tape measures on this, but I think what I'm seeing so far, I'm going to like the way this is going to work. Being able to have stops on both sides, and you know, if you're doing opposite miters, I've never had the ability to do that, so I'm looking forward to that. Other than that, one thing I will say about it is that this is not 90 degrees. This, I haven't checked this side yet, but this side wants to tilt back. And I have it fastened with the bolts only from the bottom. And I think that might be kind of overkill. I might have been better off just to use the screw on top here. That would give me the flexibility of sliding this much more easily. I can still slide it if I just loosen these two bottom ones. I can push the top fence back to get extra length for long cuts, I guess. But I really don't know that I'm going to be using that all that much, and over time I'll find out how well this is going to work. And like I said, if I wanted to tilt my saw, I have the ability to slide this out of the way by just loosening these bracket bolts in the back here and pushing it out of the way. So there it is. I'll have to use it a little while, and then maybe I can give you an update on how it's working for me. Installing the tape, I thought this would be worthy of a short little video here, I guess. I hope to keep it short. At any rate, I established this length using this 12-inch block, and it's dead nuts 12-inch. I added a 3-inch 3-2-1 block, and when I brought this down, let me grab one quick. You can just hear that blade ticking that metal. Okay, so that's my 15. Get that out of the way. So what I did on the other side, and this really makes it much easier, is to take the tape and cut back the paper just on the other side of 15. So I'm cutting back the paper here. So the adhesive is exposed, but not the rest of the tape. Then I'm going to slide it in here behind my straight edge so I can eyeball where it should stop. I've also pre-cut the length not as easy as it looks. Okay, so 15. Pull it back. This stuff is really sticky. There's 15 right there. And just adhere the front part of the tape. That's right on 15. This is just splitting that line. Let me zoom in on that. So now I've got that just splitting that line. That's perfect. Pull this back. Grab the rest of this paper. Pull back about a foot. And keeping it to the top of the extrusion, just run it out. And then as you get to the end, you're going to want to trim that. And in both instances for me, it's about 59 inches. And that's it. Give it a good press. And you're done. Now the other thing I've done here is taken the handles, mounted them to the sides of my dust collector, and put them at a 45-degree angle. So for me it's a little easier than just going up and down. But they made the holder design just so that it holds it this way. I've decided to just do it like this. So that's it. So I've got the tape installed on both sides using that method, and I'm good to go. Thanks for watching.